You're welcome back. You're still watching Business Incorporated on Channels Television. Well, early last year, figures show that venture capital funding for African fintech startups had risen by 51%, with funding being generated for virtual banking projects, consumer credit checks, and finance apps. South Africa led the way with $112 million in investments, followed by Nigeria, which raised $74 million. Kenya came third, $62 million, and then Egypt, $51 million. Now, what benefits accrue to the continent from this? Dr. Debisi Araba, Public Policy and Strategy Specialist and member of Malabo Monupur panel. He joins us now from Kenya to tell us some more about this. Good afternoon, Dr. Debisi.
Good afternoon, Ini. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to have you here too. Where fintech has the highest penetration in South Africa, 94% of individuals having regular access to the internet. Are there ways to increase this penetration in other parts of the continent in the shortest possible time?
Well, it's sort of easy and complex at the same time. I think the prospects are quite encouraging. When you think of where we're coming from, the growth of internet penetration over the last 5 to 10 years. Right now, I think it's about 475 million mobile devices or Africans are connected to mobile internet or will be connected to mobile internet by 2025, so in another three to 4 years' time. Of those, we expect about 27% to be on 4G, which is a relatively fast network, and the rest, of course, on 3G. We expect about 3% to be connected to 5G by 2025. The potential contribution of mobile connectivity to Africa's GDP projected by 2024 is estimated to be about $184 billion. That's about 7% of Africa's GDP. So we're seeing the growth, and it's starting to happen. You've mentioned the countries: Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, Nigeria. Of course, you're starting to see a lot more happening in Morocco, in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal. So we're starting to see the investments in the hard underlying infrastructure. Like in Nigeria, for example, most recently there was a $100 million data center commissioned by the Africa Data Centers, owned by Strive Masiyiwa, to reduce the lag time. Because when you have these data centers, what they do is they facilitate faster transactions. And so if we see an increase in these infrastructure, we see more in-country penetration. So if you see more the laying of fiber optic cables that carry the data information on the information superhighway, so to speak, then you can see these as a precursor of future growth. So for example, in Nigeria, there's been the promotion of the 145 naira per meter right-of-way tariff, which is great because, for example, in states like Ekiti that have purpose to become a digital knowledge innovation hub, you're starting to see them then surround these ideas or these incentives with hardcore investments, both from the public sector and the private sector. So I think the future for African fintechs and Africa in general is very bright.
Yeah, and talking about venture capital funding rising by 51%, what has been the impact of that, and should we be celebrating at this level?
Yeah, so that's what you're seeing, Ini. So the venture capital funds are investing in private initiatives and entrepreneurship, right? So when I say these ideas are growing, and we talk of the projected $184 billion contribution to GDP, it's a signal that is sent to these venture funds. So yes, it is something to be celebrated, and I think it's not just that we're seeing venture capital funds coming into the African fintech space. We're also starting to see more African funders funding fintechs. So, for example, you have the Future Africa Fund. You've got the First Check Fund, which I find very unique in that it invests in very early stage startups, female-led startups. So you're starting to see more funding coming in, and you're seeing the result. The result is these diversified products and services. We have over 400 fintech companies operating across Africa, generating and operating different sectors and subsectors. And they are taking advantage of the base infrastructure that exists now, and not just the hard infrastructure, but also the soft infrastructure that creates the enabling environment for private entrepreneurship to thrive. So definitely worth celebrating, and we hope to see more.
And the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement is supposed to create more opportunities for the fintech industry. Is this being explored, and how can governments, from the countries, fasten this penetration to maximize these opportunities?
It's a very good question, Ini. It's early days. AFCFTA, of course, trading started 1st of January this year. We're starting to see beyond the ratification from national states or from states or member states of the AU. We're starting to see government to government, but also entrepreneur to entrepreneur. And I think that's the secret sauce. It's not governments that are trading. It's entrepreneurs that are trading. And so how entrepreneurs now maximize their unique value propositions to not just trade better with themselves. Of course, we want African countries to trade better amongst themselves, but also for Africa to negotiate better in how they trade with the rest of the world. So digitalization and fintechs, of course, will facilitate or improve financial transactions or the ease of financial transactions. As you know, there are challenges in moving funds from across borders. But once you digitalize currencies, and there's a lot of excitement now about different countries considering setting up digital currencies in parallel to their national currencies. And we're in an experimental phase, not just in Africa, but around the world. So everyone is experimenting. You've seen the Bank of England, the Federal Reserve thinking about it, the Bank of China, Central Bank of Nigeria most recently also discussing this. We are seeing a phase where new ideas will be tested. And, as we say, form follows function. So after the experimentation, and once we have workable ideas that are scalable, we will then have the regulatory frameworks that will support this to ensure that you're protecting investors and beneficiaries.
All right, Dr. Araba. I know it's an area of passion for you, but thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this afternoon on
Thank you very
Business
much,
Incorporated, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.